Average Australian struggling. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I have my stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from the ABC, where they're asking people, are you one of the everyday Australians, one of the average Australians that politicians always are referring to? Now, I'm starting to think more and more there is a divide in our nation, or there are a group of people that are actually, experiencing the difficulties of the recession, and there are other groups that are not. Perhaps it's the civil servants that are receiving pay rises above reality, above the free market, because they're isolated from the real economy. And they're the ones making political decisions. So before we get into this, before we read the article, let us know in the comments if you are one of the average Australians or the everyday Aussies. Let's have a look. So, are you one of the everyday Australians politicians refer to? We'll have a look here. If you earn more than $50,000 per year, you've already stepped out of the average Aussie. So there you go. So if you're over 50 grand a year, guys, you've stepped out of the average Australian. So you can see why there are people that can afford to buy these expensive houses in Sydney are completely removed. My political class would be completely removed from the struggles of the average Australian. The median income in Australia is $48,360 before tax, guys. Before tax. According to a report released by the Australian Bureau of Statistics this month that analysed data from 2016-17 financial year. So from a couple of years ago. There you go. And in regional areas, that figure is far lower. The most marked difference is in the Northern Territory, where Darwin city dwellers' median income is $61,375 compared to $52,420 for the rest of the territory. But all of that is still well above the median, isn't it? So Darwin's doing a lot better than I would have, or Northern Territory is doing a lot better than I would have imagined. The highest median income is found in the Australian Capital Territory at $63,038. There you go. What did I say, guys? What did I say about the civil servants? Tasmanian workers have the lowest median income at $44,437. They're below the mean, or below the median for the whole nation. So life on less than $500 per week. Georgia earns slightly less than the average worker in Western Victoria, where the median wage is about $40,000. She's put $491 per week to cover rent, electricity, car repayments, insurance, registration, home contents insurance, petrol, and groceries. Now we can see all of these things, guys. Electricity, that's going up in Victoria. It's the renewable state with the number of windmills that they've got down there. Insurance is going to go up, particularly with the bushfires that we're having now. Home contents insurance will go up with the increased crime that is happening in Victoria. There you go. Petrol will go... the dollar's climbing a little bit, so maybe we'll see a decline in that. But groceries are definitely going to go up because of the bushfire and the drought. It's a reality that Georgia does not see portrayed in the media or considered by politicians. Well, yes, I think that's true. It's easy to see it from the bottom than from the top, she said. Yes, you're always looking up, but the top doesn't always look down. It depends. I wouldn't say the top. I'd say it's the bureaucrats and the civil servants that get in the way, or the do-gooders. The do-gooders that try and help the poor and get in the way and restrict people's ability to lift themselves up. Restrict opportunity, restrict business. So the retail sector phases out contracts. Yes, I mean this is crazy. Georgia has worked for the same large retail store in Horsham for 18 years but is unable to secure any more than 25 hours per week. The whole retail environment has moved towards casualization and the workforce. And if you don't already have a contract in place, you're probably never going to get one, she said. But see, that's the thing, guys. If you're a casual, you're paid a load-in. You're paid 25% more than a full-timer. You don't have that consistency of hours, but you should be making more money per hour. So 25 hours, maybe she can find another job. Probably can't where she is. Or she could do some Uber, even if it's not much. Can't afford a car, probably. I think there's probably more restrictions in place to keep people in their little spot, aren't they? If I keep my hours, I'm happy. The casuals don't have that guarantee. Before locking in her part-time contract, Georgia did 1 month of unpaid work experience and years of casual work at the same retail outlet. See, this is the thing. The unpaid work experience. I mean, in some regards, I'm not a fan of it, but I understand why people do it, to get experience. If you've got no skills, I mentioned that architecture students, back in the day, for the first, I think, 12 weeks or something, you only earned $6 an hour when you were working. And this is for people who were studying architecture at university and working in a practice because you had no skills, you were useless. That was what the award was set up for, to allow for that. And then what happened is they changed it. So if you're over 21, you have to go instantly to the minimum wage, even if you're working as a student. It's studying as a student. So that meant that there was less incentive to hire people over that age when they were useless. You'd have to wait. So when you're casual and you get a car loan, perhaps, or might not look at you for a rental house, well, yeah, you can't get a car loan or you can't get a rental house. It's harder in rural areas because you don't have options. I think there are a lot more older people in the same job for a long time because that's their security. Earning $50 too much for hearing aid help. This is an odd one. Georgia was born deaf and requires regular specialist appointments. She recently had to find $3,000 for new hearing aids, but earns $50 per week too much to qualify for a healthcare card, making her ineligible for government subsidies. If I drop the 5 hours a week to be eligible, I'll never get those hours back again, she said. Well, see, this is the issue with these things. Why are hearing aids are so expensive? They are so expensive. And I would say it's got more to do with the fact that a lot of them are subsidized and the government is involved in it. The costs are insane for when you look at what it is. I know my father who had hearing aids. We bought him something a lot cheaper that he could use to improve his hearing for $50 from online, and it worked much better than any $1,000 hearing aid. It just seems ludicrous when I can get these things that can work so much cheaper. But then again, there's no government subsidies for any of my AirPods, are there? So I'm right in the middle. It could always be better, but it could be worse. She has no prospect of getting into the housing market. I can't even think about it, she says. I did at one point go to the bank and get a bit of an assessment done, and the loan repayments would have worked out cheaper than renting, but I can't get the deposit. I've got to the point now where I've realized it's not going to happen. And casual jobs to offset the pension at the age of 73, Sonia Matthews has just taken up a casual job at Mitre 10. Forced to retire when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, Miss Matthews used her superannuation to pay off her house in Horsham. She is now dependent on the single pension, which is $466.70 per week. Out of that money, I have to pay my rates, my water rates, home insurance, car insurance, electricity, gas, car registration as well, she said. This month, I've had to pay about $1,300, and there's still the electricity bill to come. Yeah, but that's not every month, is it? She gets to the supermarket early for first pick of the half-priced meat. Just buy it in bulk. She lives by herself, so it's probably not as efficient. Buy it in bulk, freeze it. I have a good diet because of my veggies and fruit trees, but it's very difficult. Well, no, actually you don't. You're not on keto. You're probably going to reach dementia a bit worse than others if you're not eating enough fat. But that's a topic for another video. Look up Low Carb Down Under, guys, if you're interested in learning more about that. This year, it's been a lot more difficult to make the money go around because everything's gone up. The last pension rise we got was about $7 a week. Well, yeah, everything is going up. Even though, they're saying cost of living isn't going up. It doesn't make sense. Any unexpected cost, like another health scare, could unravel Miss Matthews' careful budgeting. I couldn't even afford to buy another car, so I have to look after my car, she said. Okay. It's no good lying in bed worrying, so I just go with the flow. So health issues lead to debt. Connie knows how easy it is for low-income earners to slip into debt. She and her husband were employed at the same Horsham supermarket when a difficult pregnancy prevented her from working. The couple, who already had 2 children, had been carefully synchronizing shifts to ensure one parent could be home. We would juggle that so we could both work and have children without being in daycare, she said. While childcare is great, you're sort of going to work to pay someone else. Yeah, well, that's it. You're paying someone else to raise your kids. Childcare, and yeah, I'm not a fan of it, guys. There's certain socialist countries that really emphasize childcare and really like the state to take care of children and influence them, and it doesn't sit well with me. I remember we went and had a look in one there, and I couldn't believe all the propaganda and garbage on the walls. Oh, it was sickening. And they were inside all the time, with a little bit of outside time. You can hear my kids in the background playing right now. Then Connie had to stop work and make regular 4-hour trips to Melbourne for specialist appointments, an impossible situation on the single supermarket income. We had no healthcare card and no cover because we couldn't afford private insurance, she said. So you've grabbed your credit card to survive, and then all of a sudden you're in debt, then you're struggling. It's that constant cycle that is hard to get out of. Well, yeah, that's the issue. That is the issue. I've been watching a lot of Dave Ramsey just with his strategies for people getting out of debt, and some of the stories you hear, that it's heartbreaking really for these people. And surviving the silly season. Throughout December, the retail store Georgia works at is abuzz with families loading trolleys with toys and decorations. It's a pervasive reminder of the material things she cannot afford herself. Well, that's fine. You don't need material things. It's all garbage anyway. It's just crazy what people do spend on Christmas, she said. Georgia's colleagues organized a work party, but she, as she does every year, politely declined. You don't want to say you can't afford it, but they know you can't, she said. I don't want to seem like I'm envious. It's more that you don't want to make people feel sorry for you. There's a lot of things missing from my life, but I don't aim for a lot of things because there's no point. Miss Matthews said, Miss Matthews has created her own Christmas trap in the form of beloved baked goods that her grandchildren now expect every year. This year, dried fruit seemed to be more expensive than usual, but it was a non-negotiable. Sometimes a credit card comes in handy right at Christmas, she said. I do like to see my family at Christmas. It's worth it. And names have been changed to maintain their privacy. So here we have signs of disparity between people here in Australia. People who are struggling, low-income earners, and people who are not. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Maybe if she's got her own fruit trees, she should just dry her own fruit. I mean, I understand where a lot of these people are coming from, but sometimes you've just got to cut back, and you've got to give up a lot of what you need. You've got to give up the material things. You've got to get out of debt. Do the snowball technique, do the avalanche technique, do something to get out of debt as fast as you can. But I can appreciate that there are a whole lot of people that are going to have a different lived experience in Australia than our politicians and leadership class. There's a whole lot of parts of the countries where opportunities will be severely limited. And I would argue that the best way to get opportunities and innovation is to reduce the burden from the government in these areas. Free it up. Maybe create special economic zones around some of these rural areas to create incentives for businesses to relocate, to establish there. With the internet and technology, people can work remotely all over the world. We've been hearing more and more about people having a green change. Property prices would be a lot more affordable there. It would inspire more people to live there, increase the population, increase the economic activity, increase the opportunities. You need a draw card. Maybe less government burden and regulation could be that draw card. Could it be the gold rush that we had a few centuries ago? Anyway, guys, let me know what your opinion is. How would you address this, and how do you think this is going to shape the future of Australia in the coming years? Do you think there's a whole class of people that don't really know what it's like to struggle on, under 50 grand a year. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan, we have a Patreon where you can make a small monthly donation. We also have Amazon, eBay, and Independent Reserve affiliate links where it doesn't cost you a cent, and it's a great way for us to receive some financial support. And we sell our very own merchandise from the Heise Says blog, pocket squares made here in Australia. Take care, guys, and I will talk to you all later. Bye for now.